Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel that takes you deep inside the San Francisco 49ers. I am your host, Jack Hammer, and today we're changing things up on the channel. We are going defense. That's right. We are going to talk about the 49ers defense, in particular, the back end of that defense and their secondary. I was asked recently by a viewer, hey Jack, will Ji'Ayir Brown push Tashaun Gipson out of the secondary as that season goes along? And I'm going to answer that in a second, but before we answer that, we need to look back at what happened last season with Tashaun Gipson. Why this question's even coming up, because the Tashaun Gipson story for the 49ers last year, you know, everybody's talked about Brock Purdy, but what happened with Tashaun Gipson is just as remarkable, really. This is a veteran who wasn't even in the thoughts of anybody around the 49ers in terms of covering the 49ers. The 49ers might have been looking at him. They always probably have a list of guys that are free agents that they might go after, but there had been no talk of Ji'Ayir Brown to the 49ers. And then Jimmy Ward goes down with an injury, and in comes Tashaun Gipson while the team is out in Minnesota doing their joint practices with the Vikings. Goes through a workout, the team signs him. Ward's not able to come back for week one. Gipson steps into the starting lineup, and he plays so well that when Ward's ready to come back, guess what? Doesn't got a spot. He's got to go play in the slot instead. And Gipson really played well last year for the 49ers, so well that the guys over at the Touchdown Wire actually put him as the 9th best safety in the NFL last season. That's high regard for Tashaun Gipson. And then on top of that, you look at the numbers that he put up. Last year he had 5 interceptions, 3 passes defensed, allowed only 19 catches on 32 targets, gave up a passer rating of just 53 into his coverage. It was just a tremendous season for Tashaun Gipson. On top of that, you look at his relationship with Talon Hufanga. Gipson, that's one of the main reasons why we see Gipson back with the 49ers. Hufanga really liked playing with him. Gipson really meshed well with Hufanga as well. And those two on the back end, they put up great numbers. Their interception numbers last season are up there. You've got to go back almost 10 years in 49ers history to the last time that you had a safety duo in San Francisco put up the interception totals that Hufanga and Gipson did last season. So it's going to be very hard for a guy like Ji'Ayir Brown to come in and replace him. You know, and I think when you look at Ji'Ayir Brown, what you see is a guy who's very similar to Talon Hufanga in that he's a guy who was always around the ball in college, and that's where he's attractive to the 49ers. And I think the other thing when you look at those two, how they're similar, is what's going to happen in terms of their career. You know, the 49ers don't usually draft guys that they need to start right away. They get them, they bring them in, they bring them along slowly, develop them, let them not have to be a starter right away. They get them on the field, but then year 2, year 3, that's when they get you know, they're comfortable in the scheme, comfortable in what they're doing, and they step into the lineup. And I think we're going to see that with Ji'Ayir Brown. I don't think he's going to beat out Tashaun Gipson this season. So there's your answer. But here's what I do think. We're going to see a lot of Ji'Ayir Brown on the field. I think you take yourself back to 2021 when Hufanga came in. The 49ers had a couple of guys in Jimmy Ward and Jaqualski Tard who are veterans, and they didn't need a guy to step in right away and be the starter. So they were able to bring Hufanga along slowly. Then in year 2, he steps into the starting lineup. He's an all-pro. And I think we're going to see something similar with that with Ji'Ayir Brown this year. I would expect to see him play probably about 45% of the snaps on defense. You know, be utilized. He's a really good blitzer. He showed that with the 4.5 sacks that he had at Penn State. That meshes well with what the 49ers are going to be doing under Steve Wilks. So this is a guy you get 3 safeties on the field at times, and you really can pressure the quarterback. Putting him and Hufanga down in the box, for example, at times can really create some mismatches where you put him on the field and get a guy down in the box that can stop the run while you keep Hufanga and Gipson on the back deep with, you know, in a cover 2 kind of a look. Or maybe you flip that around and you put him on the back end because he is a free safety. And now you've got Ji'Ayir Brown and Tashaun Gipson deep with Hufanga up close, you know, in a cover 2 type of look. So it'll be interesting. I think there's going to be some mixing and matching for sure there. But like I said, you'll see him. I think you're going to see Ji'Ayir Brown on the field probably about 45% of the time on defense. I think he'll be a core special teams guy, and he's going to be a really good player. So there you have it. That's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I want to hear from you too. What do you think? Do you think that Ji'Ayir Brown is going to replace Tashaun Gipson as the starting safety for the 49ers this season? If so, let me know. If you disagree with what I said, let me know that as well. I'd love to hear from you here. So if you could do me a favor, though, before you leave, if you please hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. And then training camp's right around the corner, so make sure you turn on those notifications, because you're not going to want to miss any of the information that comes from right here at Inside the Fires with Jack Hammer. Hey, thank you all so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and we talk with you soon.